a response here, response video I'm putting together. I've got some new software that I'm kind of trying out. I think I've got the audio worked out, but it's been cutting on and off. So I'm just going to make this kind of quick, and this is a response to Carneval. Let's see what Carneval is up to. He has made this video in response to Earthling Ed, and he's criticizing Earthling Ed because he's talking to some kids about climate change, and Carneval goes through and picks on him through that. And then I made some responses, but you won't find them on in this comment section. I made some comments. He deleted them, and he deleted his responses to my responses. So what is it that is threatening Carneval so that he would delete those responses? Was he being attacked? Let's see. Well, it turns out that I have copied and pasted. I've kept all those responses that I made in the comments. Why did I do that? Well, because I knew that Carneval, I knew that you would delete my comments. Why did I know that you would delete my comments? Because you couldn't leave them up there. They absolutely refuted the basic points you're trying to make in your video response to Earthling Ed. You would have had to just, I mean, an honest thing I would have deleted the video. I wouldn't have put that video up there in the first place, but since you did that, and I called you out, categorically went through and refuted all the main points you're trying to make, you pretty much had to delete my comments at that point, or delete the whole video, which I would have done. But anyway, this gets into cognitive dissonance. This is what happens when people backfire. So cognitive dissonance occurs when whatever's going on in reality, in the real world, if it doesn't match your perception or your belief system, if there's an incongruity, so the brain likes consistency and likes to know that it's hanging out in the reality principle, as Freud called it. But when you have this mismatch between one's perspective and what's going on in the real world, that creates this tension, this cognitive dissonance. And to resolve that, you can go about it one or two basic ways. An adaptive, functional, helpful way to respond to cognitive dissonance is to face it and then modify one's perspective based on the facts that are being presented. A dysfunctional or maladaptive way of trying to deal with cognitive dissonance is to backfire. And that is, instead of modifying your views based on the facts that are presented or the reality, you try to change reality and hold on to those myths, those false just so stories that you've created. That's cognitive dissonance, and that you can't develop further in that way. Okay, you kind of stay stuck in that and trying to change reality instead of yourself. And so in doing that, the way that's done is by deleting my comments as well as yours, pretending like they never happened, pretending that you've got a video that's not filled with all this misinformation. So that's the backfiring that we see in Carneval. And how do I arrive at this conclusion? Am I just making this up? Let's look at actually what it was that threatened Carneval to the degree that he would delete these comments, and why it is I think that he was so threatened by these comments, even though they're polite. There's no personal attack against Carneval, none. So going back here, I've just highlighted the point of the video at 2 minutes and 42 seconds into it. I made it, and here I've quoted Carneval and then refuted him directly after that. I'm using numbers. I'm talking about the number of animals that used to exist, or estimated numbers of animals that used to exist in North America, as opposed to now. So we have many more ruminants, as it turns out, because of factory farming, and so therefore you have much more methane and CO2 in the atmosphere, potentially contributing to climate change. I'm not getting into the degree of climate change that might come about through that process. I'm not a climatologist, don't claim to be. I just like to stay, let's deal with the facts instead of making stuff up. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Climatologists, 99% of them do. There is a consensus that global warming is occurring, and from my limited perspective on that topic, seems to be the case. Who am I to doubt the climatologist? I'm no climatologist, but there is a consensus. And the only real difference is, some climatologists, the 99% of climatologists do debate about how much humans are contributing. They do agree that humans are contributing to global warming. It's just a matter of how much. We don't know. So anyway, that's what the climatologists say. But we've got this less intellectual debate going on here between me and Carneval, where we're just arguing about how many animals could potentially be contributing to the methane and the CO2 that's in the atmosphere, and what it's doing after that is another story. Okay, so that's the debate topic. Okay, so going on from here, Carneval keeps talking about how it's natural. We use that word over and over, natural. Everything's natural that's going on here. What's going on here with the farms? Oh, it's all natural. But that's not at all the case, actually. When you look at the numbers that I posted and you see what's going on. So this is a comment that he deleted. Animals eat and they fart and plants and farting plants out, and that's part of the natural cycle. I don't contest that, but so I don't know why he said that. That's what I got into. But a little straw man action from Carneval on that. But I've got some citations in response to that. Try to steer him back on the topic. Here's what ends up being one of the main points that I'm contesting, and one that Carneval continues to try to make, and that is that most of the cattle in the U.S. are not crammed on farms but pasture raised for the majority of their life. That's a fact that Carneval says. Didn't seem like a fact to me. I was suspicious about that. So a quick internet search, and I find a citation by Burkholder, 2006, paragraph 2, in which I quoted him. And here it said, since the 1950s, going back to the 50s and on to the 70s and 80s, all these factory farmed animals ended up being making up most of the animals that were produced in America. They're factory farms, CAFO. It's concentrated agriculture farming organization or something like that. Factory farms is what that is. So most of them are factory farmed. So that's directly refuting what Carneval said. And so I've cited it, and that was a peer-reviewed source too. So I guess I trust it, but it seemed to make sense to me. Anyway, he goes on and says, well, there used to be a lot of pigs, he said. Actually, wild boars, he said. Actually, wild boars are not wild or native to North America. So there were 0 wild boar. Now there's 120 million that are cycled through the factory farms. That was according to the site that's several years old. So it's even worse now. Then he goes on and says, well, there used to be more deer. No, because the farmers are taking out the cougars, the jaguars, the bears, all the natural predators are big threats, and so that's not good for industry. So now we have a high deer population, and we don't have the amount of predators that we would naturally have and naturally did have. So that's not true either. So I just went through. There's a lot more to this. Like I said, he's deleted most of it. There's still a few. He's left. I don't know if he knows about it, but there's still a few of my replies in his comment section now. After I posted that, that's about a page and a half. That's a pretty long post I made, but here's his response to that one. I did not read your machine gun tactic. Your machine gun? Okay, so whatever that. This is called interleaved messages. This is how mature debate works, as opposed to top posting or bottom posting, where you can have strawmans, like you did, Carneval. You integrated some strawmans in your argument because you didn't use this machine gun tactic. This interleaved messages is what they're called. That's how mature debate works. So you keep things line by line and keeps you honest and straight. So this seemed foreign to Carneval, and he's taking a victim role here, and he says he deleted it. He deleted that comment. He said he didn't read it, and then he deleted it. Seems I would go the other way. I would read it and then determine if it should be deleted, and then base it on what the actual content is. Not Carneval. He prioritizes censorship to that degree, and just indiscriminately go through and delete. And maybe he read it or maybe he didn't, but he deleted it in any case. So, and there's no personal attacks. There's citations in here, references. So, but he just deletes it. But seeing as you have so much to say, Carneval says, email me. There's the email address. Set up a live debate. Let's see if you stand behind your word. My guess is you'll chicken out, he says. Well, no, I didn't chicken out. I stand behind my word. Carnival, you deleted your comments and you deleted mine. So who really chickened out then? Okay. In fact, what did I actually do? I challenged you back. I said, I'll set up that appointment as long as you restore the comment that you deleted. That's fair. If you're going to debate somebody, why would they debate you if they know you're going to delete their material? Why am I going to set up an appointment to debate you and you're going to delete my material anyway? You can't even demonstrate your debating online first. So that was the condition. And then I challenged him. I said, step it up. Step up to the plate, defend yourself, Carnival, if that's what you want to do. But instead, he went the other way and he deleted additional posts after this post was made. I don't know if he knows this is still on there, but look, I'm scrolling up now to the top of it. It's there. You can do a search on the find on page, and you can find my response. It's still sitting there. The challenge is there, and you have, Carnival, you have gone and chickened out and deleted content. Anyway. Oh, you know what? We can talk about, or I can provide information about using the numbers about what's going on with the animals and how it might be efficient or not in terms of the impact on the environment. But one thing I would advise keeping in mind in these kind of, if you get into like a real debate, not like this, but if you do, you can remind somebody about this, which I tried to integrate this information here. It was relevant, and that is called the 10% rule. So in America, in 4th grade science, we learned that there's something called the 10% rule, or the food chain, or the food pyramid. Not the food pyramid, the food chain, where you go, yeah, it's a trophic level shaped in it's shaped in a pyramid too. It's the trophic level where at the bottom you have the consumers. There's many more, or the producers rather. Those are the plants. Okay, those are producers. They're producing energy. And then the level, the rung right above that is the primary consumers. Those are the herbivores and frugivores, the granivores. And then above that you have the secondary consumers, and they're the scavenger, or the scavengers kind of overlap, but they'd have, whatever would be preying on the cows or the deer, the frugivores. And then above that you'd have the secondary consumer, tertiary consumers, and on up to the apex predators, like the eagles and the lions. And the point of all this is that as you go up the trophic level from each rung, you're going up and you're only transferring 10% of the energy to the next level, because a lot is a loss. So matter is neither created nor destroyed. All the energy transfers, you're going to lose some matter. So that's what's going on there. Very basic science. I don't know how this can be so butchered, this concept. How it can be so forgotten or overlooked, but it is. I pointed it out here, I've reminded him, but in these kind of topics, this is good to remind yourself, because in theory, as you go up the food chain, it is not efficient, it's not environmentally friendly. Now, some people will go as far as to say, well, but in the case of cattle, for instance, you could have them grazing on grass that is pretty cheap to provide. You don't need rich soil for that, so you could be harvesting or raising cattle in areas that you wouldn't be able to get much fruit production, which is true. However, you're not going to get as much grass either in the poorer soil, so it goes both ways. So although you could still raise cattle with grass in soil that's not suitable for rich fruit production or other crops, that's just not how it's being done, first of all, because it's not efficient. That you would have a different... Already the meat and dairy industry are already heavily government subsidized in terms of the crops that they have to feed them. So it's already not a competitive industry. And if you do that, it's going to make it a lot less affordable. You wouldn't have as much supply if you go to poor soil, even for the cows. It'd be slower coming around getting the harvest on those. So the 10% rule is good to keep in mind. If you want more information on this, I'm happy to share the information. I've kept the conversation with Carneval. I've kept all those because I knew that Carneval would delete them, and I just want to test my equipment here. And thank you for watching. More videos to come now that I have the new equipment.